Hi guys, and welcome back to our spinner build series where we're turning this carcass of a parcel delivery van into a little home on wheels. So we've gotten a lot of questions over the last couple of years on how we built our headliner and how we did the overhead lighting. So we happen to have some footage that we shot when we put all this together. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'll show you some clips of what went into getting the lights installed and the headliner, why we put them where we did, where we put the switches, and then how the headliner goes into place. Now to start, a little background on the headliner. This is not a headliner that we built. This is actually the factory Mercedes Sprinter headliner. I believe it's an option in the cargo vans and possibly standard on the crew vans. The passenger vans have them, except the passenger vans have an air conditioning unit in the ceiling, so there's a section of the headliner that's cut out for that. So this one's out of a crew van. We did order this van new, however we did not order the headliner at that time. And after seeing a few of these headliners and knowing that I could just slap this in here and be done with the ceiling and not have to build it myself seemed really appealing. So I found this headliner used on the Sprinter forums. They come up from time to time. I paid $150. That seems to be about the going rate. One thing to note, this is the 2007 to 2018 generation Sprinter van, and the 2019, 2020 and newer, they're basically the same Shelva van. So I understand the headliners are interchangeable between those. I've seen them in person. The newer headliner's a little bit darker, which is actually kind of nice. It might hide some dirt and such. But so bought this used, and the reason we decided to go this route is because, again, it's done. I don't have to build out all of these corners. It snaps into place. It's got some insulation built into it, which helps, cancel some road noise and all that. It's very light, which is appealing. It already has the cutouts for the dome lights, which I think is appealing because I still use this van to haul family around. So when I unlock the doors, all the original functionality of the dome lights work. They come on when you open the doors. I can control them manually with a switch up here. So that was appealing. Yet those lights aren't bright enough for camping. So we've installed some more. These are on two different zones. We've got one zone, this one, these four on a dimmer switch, and the dimmer is next to bed where we can get to it, but there's also a master switch next to the sliding door so that you don't have to get in the van to turn the lights on and off. And in addition, there's another zone in the back. Those are not on a dimmer, and they're on a switch in the back, the blue lit up switch. You can see it back there. So the only disadvantage that we have found with the factory headliner is that it does use up a little bit of space. So up inside of the cabinets, you lose maybe a little bit of space up here in the corners. It's not enough for us to worry about, and overall we think it's a good way to go, and it sure saved us a lot of work. So let's go ahead and put some lights in this thing, and I'll show you how we did it all. Tonight we're going to be working on installing some overhead lighting in our Sprinter van, and I've chosen to use the stock Mercedes headliner. So in this case, my lighting plan is going to involve maintaining the stock dome lights that come in the Sprinter. Aside from that, I will also be installing these marine dimmable LED lights. These are 4.5 watts each, so they use very little energy, and then they can also be dimmed. So these, they have their own dimming wire for marine circuits, only because a lot of boats have really complicated lighting, but you can use just a standard, I bought this dimmer on eBay, but it's a PWM pulse width modulated dimmer. So this, pretty easy to hook up. You just have power, positive and ground in to the switch, and then you have your plus and your minus out to your light. So we'll be using a dimmer. In installing these overhead lights. I decided to go with really good quality ones, and the reason for that is I've had a lot of trouble with just cheap LED circuitry going bad, and the last thing that I want is to have some holes cut in my headliner for a specific light, only to have them go out and not be able to find a replacement that has the same holes. So I'm using good quality lights. So what I've done is I've marked a hole that aligns with the center of this vent, and now we're going to go ahead and cut out some holes and put in some lights. And these lights are 62 millimeters across. So I marked the center point, and I put my scale center point on 31 and marked it at 0 and 62 into the four sides. So that's my circle. Now's the nasty part, cutting it out. Headliners are really thick. Alright, it's not perfect, but no one's going to see it but you and me. So now I take the wires, feed them through, and these lights have spring clips I pull back. And drop it in the hole. So that makes for a really nice flush fit. And there's the bottom. Now, one thing I should mention is that I did check before doing this to make sure that there are no bulkheads or anything here that might interfere with the light. So now we're going to go ahead and cut the next hole and get these lights wired up. And here's our finished install. Now on to wiring. Here's the front headliner panel that has 4 lights in it. And this is the sliding door area. So basically at the back of the sliding door, I'll have this plug hanging out. So when I put the headliner in, I can put the headliner in with the lights and all the wiring installed. And then all I have to do is pull this back a little bit and be able to get to this connector. So we have a connector there. And then basically all the wires are just combined together. So all the yellows, they're not hooked up to anything. They're hooked up to each other in case I decide to go to a marine style dimmer later on. But right now all the yellows are just wired together. So here's the red is the power coming in. The red black is of course ground. So that's connected up to the red and the black of each of these, and they're just wired together. So then it comes up and feeds these 2 lights too. The reason I did it this way, just in case I ever have trouble with these lights, I can pop out one of the stock dome lights and I can access the connections here. And same with down here. I can pop out this dome light to deal with these connections. And then of course the plug is accessible too. There, look at that.
Whoa. We have lights in here. Whoa. I like that. We have lights.
We do.
I think I like that. We have lights. Can I go in the back and see?
Not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but back behind this flap are the wires for my red overhead light and my white overhead lights, so that they can stay in the ceiling. I don't have to pop them out. Here's another view of our lighting. There are 2 in the back around the fan, and then there are 2 more up front. Here is the switch for the factory lights that come on with the doors. And the dimmer is right here to dim the front lights. This is actually a switch to turn on a red light up here, and that's really nice at night, especially if you've got young kids. You can leave that on for them, or if you're out of the van sitting around the campfire, it's not completely black in the van, and yet it doesn't wake them up. So this is our dimmer, and then the master on-off is right here. This upper one just basically kills the ground to the upper lights, and then this turns on the lighting underneath the van. Now what we like about this arrangement is as you approach the van at night, this has got a small light in it so you can see it. Click that, your lights are on. Same with leaving the van, yet this seat that folds into a bed, when we go to bed at night, we can reach the dimmer switch, which also has a detent to turn it off. I don't know if you can hear that little click. So we can turn the lights on and off from bed, and that works out really nice. All right, guys, we hope that answers your questions about the headliner and the lighting, and we hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you soon.